Hello, beautiful souls. I hope you're all having a wonderful day on this Mars day. So, I wanted to come on here to talk a little bit about the energies that we've been moving through as a collective with the planetary shifts that have been happening, and also to do the pick a card in a live style format as opposed to the regular written out reading that I tend to post. So, with that being said, let's get into it. So, in terms of transits, the one that's taking center stage right now is the conjunction between Uranus and Mars. In a conjunction, the fine details about a conjunction are often debated about in terms of degrees, but it usually entails two planets being very close together in terms of degrees. So right now we have Mars and Uranus very close together in the sky, both in the sign of Taurus. And as mentioned in the post I published yesterday, these energies are kind of creating a tidal wave of energy moving through the collective at this time. Any kind of stagnation or blocks we've been experiencing, we're getting this push of momentum and influx of energy just come through to just really clear out the energetic debris that we've been holding on to. And for a lot of us, this is energetic debris that might be lingering within our subconscious still. So a lot of themes that have kept us disempowered are going to be surfacing if they have not already during this transit. And it's understanding that transits last for a set period of time, but the energy flows regardless. So even when Uranus and Mars are no longer conjunct, we're still going to be left with that energy, helping us really clear out stagnation and blocks, especially considering that Mars is the planet that represents forward motion, action, decision, and also taking leadership when it comes to our lives. We get that energy paired with Uranus. Uranus is the planet of innovation, revolution, rebellion. It sees the future and brings it back into the present moment to get us in alignment with that timeline. And for those of us not necessarily on the right timeline at the moment, these two planets coming together can cause a lot of friction, stress, resistance, and restlessness. So both Uranus and Mars are coming through to say, let us create the way forward for you, and to just let things ebb and flow, shift out of your life as they need to. So we're being encouraged as a collective to not hold on tightly to anything during this transit. We need to make sure we allow things to just flow and understand that these planets are paving obstacles out of our way. So the visual I'm kind of getting for this is just imagine you're kind of walking through the muck in like a marshy kind of terrain, and you keep just getting stuck and stuck and stuck. And Mars and Uranus are coming through, and this is going to be different for each and every one of you, but the kind of different visuals I'm getting is either a boat comes, picks you up, and takes you to the heading or in the general direction you were heading in. And for others of you, the marsh just kind of hardens to the point where you're able to effortlessly step and walk on top of it instead of trudging through it. So these different kind of timelines and the way the planets are going to be shifting things in your own lives is going to be different for each and every one of you. And I know a lot of people are finding this energy to kind of be chaotic. It can also cause some aggression as well as some violence, especially if we consider what's been going on in the US. But it's understanding that we need to use our discernment and our intuition and to just really be mindful of these energies at this time, especially considering your own Mars placement in your birth chart. So understanding, okay, how is this conjunction impacting your own natal Mars? How is this conjunction impacting your own natal Uranus? What kind of relationship is occurring between these planets, between your birth chart and this transit? What shifts are occurring? What do you need to release and create space for? So with that being said, as I tapped into both of these planets, I usually have an idea in regards to like what direction I want to take my readings in, but for this one, I just kind of let them have at it and tell me what it is they wanted me to channel and tap into. So as mentioned in the post for this pick a card, Mars really wanted to bring in an activation for the collective at this time. So we do have an activation card per pile, and Uranus wanted to illuminate and kind of awaken another planet that can come in and either support or alleviate what you might be experiencing at this time, which I found very interesting. So with that being said, we're going to get into the piles. We're going to start with pile number 1 in a few seconds. And it's understanding that all of my readings are intended to be timeless. So regardless of when you decide to watch this, if there is resonance happening within your vessel as you watch this, it's meant for you. If it doesn't resonate, let it go. You have free will. You carve your own life path, not a pick a card. All right, so for those of you that were drawn to pile 1 with this beautiful tourmaline, I was going to say pendulum. Okay, wow, my brain just really blanked there. That's the other thing. Okay, before I quickly get into the piles, weird kind of physical sensations have been also moving through my body. I've had intense ear ringing. I've had headaches here and there. I've had lower back pain also just occur from today, which was really strange, but big shifts happening through the collective at this time. And also, I was going to say the ladies wanted to be mentioned. I guess Pluto's taking on a feminine kind of outlook today. The ladies want to be mentioned. So there is an opposition going on between Venus and Pluto, and I will be posting a pick a card for that as well, because those energies definitely want to come through. Okay, so I think that's everything that wants to come through right now. We're going to get into the pick a card now. So pile 1, if you were drawn to this tourmaline pendulum, these are going to be your messages. So the activation that Mars is going to be bringing forward for you in the upcoming days is alchemy. So the card of alchemy says, the frequency of alchemy activates our magical ability and remembrance of the magic that we all hold inside. Each one of us has the potential to access the ancient knowledge that allowed the true alchemist to perform the miracles of transmutation. So for those of you that were drawn to pile number 1, there's a lot of shifts that's going to be happening internally. You might find yourself going through a death and rebirth cycle. You might have been going through a death and rebirth cycle during this period, and this is just Mars confirming what you've been going through. And for some of you, I'm also picking up that, again, I'm getting kind of different timelines coming through. So for some of you, this is you being initiated into alchemy, and also remembering your sacred ancient heritage as a magician, mage, wizard, however you want to identify. For those of you that know me, I don't really care for labels, but this energy of magic, of mysticism is being activated by Mars at this point in time for those of you that were drawn to this pile. And it's understanding that your birth chart Mars is going to be significant, especially in picking up if your Mars is in a fire sign, so either Leo, Aries, or Sagittarius, or a water sign. So Pisces, Cancer, or Scorpio. Pay attention to what the current Mars is doing to your natal Mars, because it's going to be activating a lot of these remembrance codes. I'm also picking up that some of you might be initiated into sacred geometry as well with these shapes that we have going on here. I'm also picking up that your dream time might be slightly disturbed. Either it's been disturbed recently or it's going to continue to be disturbed or be disturbed anyways, depending on what timeline you find yourself on. Sleep disturbances are also being forecasted with this card here, because your body is going to be active at night in the spiritual realm. You're going to be receiving activations. No, you might not remember what these activations are the next day when you wake up. That's not the point. But it's knowing that your body is creating space in order to receive more light codes. Some of you might be experiencing more fatigue. You might feel the need to rest more often, and it's because this activation is taking place. So that's the activation from Mars coming through, and oh my god, this is hilarious. The planet that Uranus wants to bring in and really awaken and shake up is Mars. For those of you that chose pile number 1, which I find hilarious because Mars energy is all over this pile. So we have Mars, and it says your physical energy, drive, strength, and fighting spirit. So yes, pay attention to where Mars is in your birth chart, and also where this transit is also happening. So paying attention to where Taurus is in your own birth chart. And I'm being drawn to give an example. Let's say you have Taurus in your 10th house. The 10th house rules your social status. It rules your vocation, your legacy, your purpose. So if you have Taurus in the 10th house, the legacy you're meant to create and leave in this life is going to be activated. It's going to be awakened. You might find at this time, because these energies can be very chaotic, and I'm being shown the visual of an earthquake. You know, earthquakes kind of come on unexpectedly. And that's how you might feel your life is right now or over the upcoming weeks, that you're just kind of going through this radical shakeup. What you thought was the path you were meant to be on might drastically shift so that you can be in alignment with the timeline that's in alignment with your soul. And it's interesting, there's like a Chinese dragon at the back of this card, and then there's also this man with like a spear here. And when I look at the card, the man with the spear is pointing towards the left, which is the past. But when I flip it this way, he's facing the right, so towards the future. So there's a need for you guys that chose pile number 1 to set your eyes on the future. If your past is still holding you back, use that spear and kind of, I don't want to say kill, but kill what's holding you back. And obviously, like, not literally, but just get rid of, clear, release, so that you can move forward. I'm also being drawn to the stars on this card as well. I was going to say these cards, plural for some reason. So I'm definitely picking up serious vibes from these stars here. So we do have the Sirius portal opening up towards the end of this month. And we also have the 8-8 portal happening in August as well. So there's a lot of activations that are going to be happening for pile number 1. And a lot of you are going to be receiving celestial downloads as well. Some of you might awaken to the remembrance that you are a starseed. You might start connecting with celestial beings. And it's interesting because as I look at these stars, I'm seeing Sirius, I'm seeing galactic beings, and then I'm also seeing ancestors. And it's interesting because, as I said, with this man here with the spear, he's either facing the left or the right, so the past or the future. So for me, as I look at the card, he's looking to the past, and then we have the celestial stars that seem to be on the left, so the past, and then we have these 3 stars that are on the right, so the future. But again, as I show you guys the card, it has a different orientation, so there seems to be different energies coming through, 2 to be specific, celestial guides, and then we also have ancestors coming through. So either there's some releasing and purging that needs to happen in regards to past pains related to your ancestors, or there's past pains and wounds that need to be released in regards to your celestial heritage. Because as much as people talk about star seeds, all the gifts, the light star seeds bring, we don't always talk about the different traumas that certain galactic beings have been through. We can sometimes overly focus on the positive aspects of the galactic beings and not always shed light on the fact that there have been wars, there have been star systems that have been destroyed, there have been star being tribes or groups, however you want to call it, that were enslaved and that were almost extinct. So there is wounding within that collective as well. We don't just receive the beautiful gifts, the love, the light, and all that kind of jazz. There is also wounding that comes with connection to those celestial tribes and groups. So a lot of healing coming through for pile 1, but it's like a really fiery kind of healing, almost like a purification. And it's interesting that fire is really coming through this reading because I've been sitting with the elements and kind of just allowing them to become even more alive as I navigate life and also look at my own birth chart through a new lens. And as I've been sitting with fire, fire brings the energy of momentum, of purification. We set something on fire to purify it, but we also set something on fire to alchemize it and change its shape, because once something goes through fire, it is never the same again, and we cannot go back in time and get it to its original shape, right? So if you think about cooking food, for example, you can't uncook food once it's cooked. So this is what's happening for pile 1. You're going through an alchemical death and rebirth cycle. You are going to be forever changed after this transit, and you will not be able to go back to who you were before. And Mars is going to make sure you don't go back. Mars is going to give you that drive, that boost of energy, that focus you've been craving. I'm sensing that some of you might have been feeling kind of wishy-washy maybe about your life, the direction you should be taking, but Mars is going to give you that clarity. And it's interesting because this is the activation Mars is bringing for you, and then Uranus is electrifying Martian energy within you. So a lot of Mars energy. This is going to help you stay focused. It's going to help you to take those action steps that you've been delaying or avoiding, and you're going to be able to do it with a lot of confidence. Now, Mars energy can get a bad rap, and for that reason, I am going to talk a little bit about Mars shadows because there's a lot of Mars energy in this pile. So with Mars energy comes the possibility of unwarranted aggression. We can experience impatience. We can kind of want to bulldozer over people because we are just so clear in our vision, in our foresight, in what we foresee for ourselves moving forward. But with this energy, there comes a need to remain anchored in harmony and inner balance. Even though we can see miles ahead, that doesn't mean we can just bulldozer over people, that we can cut people off, that we can be rude, that we can be aggressive, and just kind of like a bully in a school ground. So that's kind of the shadow aspects we need to be cautious of when it comes to Mars energy. But at the same time, there's a need to not regress into doormat energy either. And it's understanding that if you've been stuck in a people-pleasing loop and it's been hard for you to express who you truly are, it's going to kind of be fiery and messy till you find the right balance of knowing how to express yourself. Because fire is expression. It ignites. It sets things ablaze. And we need to give ourselves the grace and the compassion to wield this element. And if we haven't wielded this element ever in our lives, it's going to take some practice. And it's interesting because as I'm talking about fire, I recently started watching Avatar, The Last Airbender, the animated version, and there's so much spiritual wisdom and wealth in this show. It is insane. I've been enjoying watching it with my sister and really just integrating again these teachings, because it is the second time I watch this show, and it's just been phenomenal to be able to grow alongside the characters on my own journey, observing the synchronicities. And for those of you that are not familiar with the show, the main character Aang is an airbender, but he is the avatar. So with that, he needs to learn to master all 4 elements, and fire remains the most daunting one for Aang. And at some point when he first starts to firebend, he ends up hurting someone he loves very much. And after hurting this person very much, he vows to never practice firebending ever again. But it's realizing that even with the pain he caused, he's now choosing to deny a part of who he is. And it's just, you can't do that. You can't live in repression. And I'm not there yet in the show, but we're gonna learn that Aang has to firebend. It's part of being the avatar. So for those of you that were drawn to pile 1, firebending, wielding this element with grace, authority, and compassion is what's in the foreground for you at this time. And you're getting Uranus that's coming through. And again, other synchronicity with the Avatar show I've been watching, there's a character who's a firebender, but she firebends electricity. So her fire is blue, and Uranus is represented by a lightning bolt, so electricity. So a lot of fiery electric energy coming through for pile 1 at this time during this transit. And it's best for you to just allow this energy to move through your body where it wants to go. So you might be experiencing different aches and pains. You might have headaches that come out of nowhere and just feel like crap one day when you wake up. It's because these big energies are purifying your vessel at this time. And I'm definitely getting the picture that it's for you to be able to vibrate at a higher frequency. But in order to do so, this kind of gunk needs to be purified. So it is going to be burnt and cleared out. I just want to apologize if I seem kind of scatterbrained as I'm reading these cards. I don't know why, but it's been hard for me to verbally communicate over the past week or so. So I'm definitely feeling kind of an upgrade when it comes to computing information and then verbally speaking it. And I definitely sense that this is because we're kind of being shifted to opening up to a different timeline where we speak more on an energetic, telepathic level, kind of decreasing the need for spoken speech is what I'm getting. So yeah, I apologize for that if my wording is all over the place. This is kind of why I wanted to do a written reading as opposed to a live one, but writing is taking forever also, which I found interesting. So we're just going through it and doing the best we can. But yeah, pile 1, purification process during this transit. And again, a need to allow these energies to move through you. You might not understand what is happening to you. It might feel completely weird and wonky. And I'm really being drawn to this alchemy card. Alchemy, for those of you that don't know, is the process by which we transform lead into gold. And this is what is happening to you, pile 1. You are going from lead into gold. And no, purification processes are not comfortable by any stretch. And I do want to say that they are completely different than the dark night of the soul. And as you navigate your own spiritual journey, going through a dark night of the soul, going through purification processes, you're eventually going to be able to pick up which one you're going through. And as you start to master these different transitions, they're going to become not necessarily easier to navigate because they're still challenging, but you're going to have the knowledge and know what you are going through and if it's time to be put back in that cauldron and alchemized even further. So that's all I'm getting for pile number 1. Those of you that chose this beautiful tourmaline pendulum. As always, feel free to let me know how that resonates or doesn't resonate. I would love to hear from you. We're now going to move in to pile number 2. So for those of you that were drawn to this Caribbean calcite, which is one of my new favorite crystals as of late. I love the energy of this crystal. So we are going to see what activation Mars is bringing forth for you, as well as which planet Uranus is awakening further. Oh, okay. So pile number 2, we have prosperity being activated by Mars. And it says, the frequency of prosperity supports our feeling of well-being by allowing the inclusion of everything that makes our body, mind, heart, soul, and spirit sing. It invites us to express ourselves in joy and celebration of the abundance and riches that the universe provides. And with the 36, we have a 9, and 9 gives us an energy of near completion. So for a lot of you that have been drawn to this pile, a lot of, I'm hearing, kind of chaos, obstacles, or challenges you've been facing lately are going to be coming to a close in the upcoming days, but mainly weeks for a lot of you. So if you guys are watching this and you're like, oh my God, Leah, I've really been going through it, it's going to be coming to an end relatively soon, and you're going to be activating a completely new timeline that you have yet to experience in this incarnation. Ooh, this is really interesting. Okay, so I'm picking up that for some of you that have been drawn to this pile, you are actually ancient mages from different galaxies and dimensions. And a lot of you have forgotten your sacred heritage. You've kind of been in these kind of darker spots here, in complete forgetfulness of your divine galactic origins. But this is going to be activated for you during this transit. You're going to come out of the darkness into this light. And the middle circle here actually makes me think of an eye. So if you've been feeling foggy, hazy, things have been unclear, maybe you're feeling blocked when it comes to your third eye, you're struggling to trust your intuition, that bullshit, is all just going to clear and fall away as this starts to get activated. And it's interesting because I'm seeing it as a wheel that's going to be turning. So there's a big shift that's going to be happening within your lives, pile 2. And it's going to be a shift for the better. Though it might take you off guard, you might feel uncomfortable with this positive shift because it's something you have yet to experience in this current incarnation. However, as you allow yourself to step into this positive timeline, you're going to start to remember past lives where you have lived this timeline that is coming through for you. And it is a timeline of prosperity, of abundance, where things actually work out for you. So if things have been hard, you've been struggling, everything is just a challenge after another, that timeline is disintegrating. You are going to be stepping into a new timeline. And with this dark color around here, I'm definitely picking up that you guys have been going through a strenuous death and rebirth cycle, that this death part has not been easy. There's been a lot of pain. There's been a lot of grief, maybe a lot of tears, anger, frustration. And it's understanding that those lower energies, those lower, how can I say this? Not emotional responses, but for lack of a better word at this point, you've had to go through them. Because similar to Pile 1, feeling into your grief, your sadness, these challenges is what is purifying your own vessel in order to activate this timeline. And it's understanding that when we say lower vibrational, that doesn't mean bad. It's just lower. So I always like to say that disclaimer, because there's a lot of people that like to bypass and imbue themselves with toxic positivity, and we don't do that here. Here we allow any and every emotion, be it low vibrational, high vibrational, it doesn't matter. It's energy at the end of the day, and energy needs to be expressed and felt. So Pile 2s, you've been feeling a lot of it, and it's understanding that for a lot of you, you have been clearing out previous life karma with this card here. And for some of you, this karma of past lives spans back centuries, and you are clearing it out. You have been clearing it out. So if things haven't been going your way, that's why you've been in a karma clearing cycle. But you're about to begin a new cycle where things work out for you. Mars is activating this timeline for you. Mars is actually giving you this blessing. Again, Mars energy could be a little rough around the edges, but he's actually very, I don't want to say kind, because kind is a bit of a stretch, but kind of letting you have this one, because even he acknowledges that you've kind of been through it lately. So he's bringing you this blessing of prosperity by activating this frequency within you. And while this frequency is going to be activated, it's going to open up this future timeline that leads a lot of you to your dreams, and dreams you never even knew you had, which is very beautiful. All right, so that is your Mars activation for Pile 2. We're now going to look at which planet Uranus wants to awaken further. Ooh, interesting. We have Mercury. How you think, communicate, write, talk, and travel. So paying attention to where Mercury is in your birth chart is going to be significant. And I'd also say where Mercury currently is transiting. Mercury is currently in Leo, so wherever Leo sits in your birth chart. And it's interesting because with the frequency of prosperity here, prosperity is light energy at its finest. If we focus on the light attributes of prosperity, not the darker aspects of it. And with Mercury being in Leo, Leo is ruled by the sun. There's a need to take center stage and allow ourselves to be seen. So for a lot of you that have been drawn to pile number 2, there's a need for you to start speaking more, to start writing more, and to share what is going on in your mind, because a lot of you have beautiful minds. I'm hearing that a lot of you that have been drawn to pile number 2 are really talented and gifted writers, even speakers. So this transit is going to be activating this frequency of prosperity through your gift of communication. So there's going to be a need for you to start sharing what it is you write more and to unfilter yourself. We can often kind of focus on the shadow attributes of Leo, but with this energy, I'm really picking up that you're going to be stepping into the light attributes of Leo and that you have nothing to fear when it comes to embracing your gift of communication, because this is definitely what is being electrified and awakened by Uranus. I don't know why, but I'm picking up like past life timelines with these cards today. Anyways, a lot of you were gifted writers in past lives, published authors. Some of you were philosophers, poets. I'm getting ancient Greece with this card as well. I'm getting Athens. Maybe you were in the streets just spreading knowledge and wisdom. This timeline is being remembered. If you've been trying to write and communicate and you keep experiencing writer's block, it is going to break and fall away. You are going to remember your sacred talents of speech. And your throat chakra is going to be activated as well. So if you're feeling any disturbances around your throat area, it's because this kind of karma is being removed and flushed out. I wouldn't be surprised if some of you got sick recently, had cold-like symptoms. You might have even felt swollen in around your throat area, and it's because this karma is being flushed out. But as always, I'm not a doctor, so if you are concerned about your health, please seek professional medical support. But besides that, throat chakra activations for those of you that are drawn to pile number 2. And it's to allow yourself to speak, similar to pile 1, where we were talking about the fire element and how it can be messy wielding fire for the first time. Speaking when we've bitten our tongue for ages can also be messy and difficult. And it's understanding, especially with AI coming out, that your writing is beautiful just the way it is. I'm thinking back to high school where we're taught proper grammar and punctuation and things like that. But it's understanding that writing at its finest is art. Art doesn't owe anyone an explanation, and neither do you. So if you're being called to write or to speak and it's different, maybe there are run-on sentences, I don't know. Maybe there's different punctuations, it doesn't matter. It's remembering that your speech, your writing is art and that it doesn't need to abide by any rules. And that is what's being activated for you, pile number 2. So those are all the messages I have for those of you that selected that pile. As always, feel free to let me know how that resonates or doesn't resonate. I would love to hear from you. We are now going to move into pile number 3. So those of you that were drawn to this black candle, let's see what Mars is activating for you. Ooh, interesting. We have fertility. Fertility says, the frequency of fertility invites us to be more open, more courageous, more creative, and more joyful than we were before. It activates the potential for something beautiful to grow from our consciousness into a new and grander expression of ourselves. I kind of really love this card for pile 3. And right away, what I'm picking up with this black candle also is a need to release any fears around being fertile. And again, fertility, for those of you that don't want kids, doesn't necessarily mean children. It can be fertility in terms of gifts, inner abundance, creation. And it's understanding that it's safe for you to flow into this fertility energy because it's divinely protected with this black candle here. So if you've been holding back your joy, your fertility, your sensuality, your beauty because you're just afraid of attracting negative energy towards you, you're divinely protected. So there's nothing for you to fear. And also, this is the activation that Mars is bringing forth for you, okay? So if anybody wants to fuck with you, Mars is backing you and protecting you and ensuring that this activation can take place in peace and quiet. So it's safe for you to just be fun, to be playful, to share your joy with the world. There's no need to keep hiding it, because I'm getting that some of you just want to hide away your beauty and this fertility. And I'm also picking up maiden energy from this card. And when we think of the Trinity, the maiden, mother, crone, the maiden is the innocence. It is purity. It is enchanting. It is flirtatious. It is romantic. It's playful. And Mars is bringing all these energies to the forefront to be like, it's okay to have fun, to not take life so seriously, to return to being an inner child again, and to allow that inner child to take center stage and to be seen for it. And it's understanding that you are divinely protected as you do so. Not only because you chose this black candle, but because Mars is bringing this forth for you. And Mars would never allow anybody to fuck with you. So that's all I'm picking up for Mars activations. Actually, the final message I'm kind of picking up is divine masculine and divine feminine activations as well. With these two stars here, I'm picking up that there's going to be a rebalancing of energies happening within your whole vessel at this point in time. So if there's been any energetic disbalances, if there's been health struggles or challenges, they're going to be cleared out as these energies rebalance themselves within your vessel. All right, let's see what planet Uranus wants to awaken. We have Uranus. So for those of you that chose pile number 3, your Uranus placement in your birth chart is significant, like really significant right now. And the aspects it's forming with the current transit. So wherever Uranus is in your birth chart and wherever Taurus is in your birth chart. So Uranus says your potential for sudden change, enlightenment, and awakening. So a big kind of stage and phase of awakening is happening for pile number 3. And I'm hearing that for a lot of you that have been on your spiritual journey for a while, if you've been receiving your downloads or your awakenings in a certain format, that format is going to completely change and shift. You're going to be opening up to receiving codes, activations in a completely different way. So let's say you usually receive activations and codes while you're asleep. It might shift and you might start getting them during the day. You might start getting certain of these activations or these codes while you're doing something. Maybe while you're creating art or you're singing, you're just going to get a powerful download. So it's understanding that Uranus is going to completely reshift how you receive energetic information. I'm trying to see what else wants to come through with these cards. But with Uranus coming through and just the general layout of this card, I'm definitely picking up on the fact that this was a soul contract decision. So this is a decision you made before incarnating here to have this activation occur during this transit and completely shift everything suddenly, like this lightning bolt here. And for those of you that have been thinking about completely pivoting and moving in a different direction, you are completely protected as you do so. Look at all these stars on this card. These are all protectors. They are angels. They are spirit guides. They're completely watching over you as you make these sudden changes. I'm also picking up with the fertility card here that it's going to be an auspicious time for you to kind of really sit with yourself and allow spirit to come through and inspire your next steps. If you've been unsure of which direction you should be heading in, spirit already has it mapped out for you. You just need to sit still. Maybe practice more meditation during this transit in order to receive these activations and these codes. Because I'm really getting the message that you have nothing to worry about. If you've been worried, release it. Release it to Uranus as well, because he's holding you through this transit, as is Mars. So those are all the messages I am getting for those of you that were drawn to pile number 3. As always, feel free to let me know how that resonates or doesn't resonate. I would love to hear from you. That's all I have for now. I'm sending you all so many blessings. I love you.